Here today to tell you about one of the most interesting things that's ever happened to me. When 6 years ago, I was a contestant on College Jeopardy. I lost in, as it says, painful and ironic fashion, and I'll tell you all about it, and I had a great time anyway. So, I'm a nerd. I've always been a pretty big nerd and a trivia buff. I grew up watching Jeopardy with my grandparents, and from them I inherited an astounding ability to remember totally useless information. So when I found out that there was an online test for Jeopardy, I took it. A couple of weeks later, I got asked to try out in person where, just like those people in the picture, I played mock Jeopardy with a clicky pen. Then I sort of forgot about things until a couple of weeks later, Glenn from Jeopardy called me up and asked me would I like to be on the show. Of course I would. That's an easy question. 2 weeks later, I was on a flight to LA for the first time in my life. And before I knew it, I was on the stage, and the lights came on, and in a stentorian voice, Johnny Gilbert said, "This is Jeopardy!" And I was locked up in a matchup against Erica from Princeton and Larissa from Rice. We were very evenly matched. Before I get into the story, though, I have to tell you a story within a story. When you're a contestant on the show, you're supposed to tell a funny story about your life to Alex Trebek. Mine involves Ségolène Royal, who is France's equivalent of Al Gore. She gave a talk at Harvard when I was an undergrad, and afterwards she took audience questions. Because I studied French in college, I thought, let me be smart and ask my question en français. Trouble is that I started off, Madame, est-ce que tu penses? Which is how you'd address a child or your friend or a puppy or something. And I didn't realize what I'd done wrong until the next day when the Harvard Crimson called me out for accidentally insulting the almost president of France. The good news is that she was doing a book signing the next day. And so I tracked her down and I apologized to her, and she said, you know what? Since we're good friends, it's okay to use the to form with me, no problem. Back to the show. After the first round of Jeopardy, the three of us were basically deadlocked, and then Double Jeopardy came up. I found the first daily double, which means that you're allowed to bet extra money to try and expand your lead. Problem is that I didn't know the answer. So if you knew that the answer is myrrh, congratulations, you paid more attention in Sunday school than I did. Bonus points if you can figure out what four-letter word I'm sort of mouthing at the camera. Then world leaders came up, and that was when I got on fire. Mao, boom. Queen Elizabeth, boom. General Franco, boom. Caesar Augustus. I was running the table. People who are good at sports know what it's like to be in the zone. And since I'm not good at sports, I hadn't experienced that feeling up until that moment. Then I found the other daily double, and I got it, King Abdullah of Jordan, which is why I decided to put a picture of Michael Jordan up to show how I felt then. At the end of Double Jeopardy, I had a small lead and all the momentum in the world. And then Final Jeopardy came up with the category BC Thinkers. And I said to myself, BC Thinkers, that's going to be a question about a Greek. I'm Greek, I'll get it right. Then I saw that the question was actually pretty tough, and I didn't have a clue. So I said to myself, all right, I have to guess. It's going to be either Plato, Aristotle, or Socrates. I'll guess Socrates. But the answer was Plato. Oh. Larissa knew it, Erica knew it, but I didn't. And yeah, that's my sad face. So since I lost on that question, sank down to $8,200, which meant I wouldn't be moving on to the next episode. And that's the ironic part, that I lost on a question about ancient Greece. Which, when the episode aired, it was not something that was lost on my friends and more than a couple of members of my extended family. When the credits roll and Trebek talks to the contestants for a minute, I, at that time, realized, wait a minute, Plato, that's like blatis, that means broad or wide in Greek. So I said to him, great, 8 years of Greek school for nothing. But with that in mind, I still enjoyed my 15 minutes of fame. I was briefly the most recognized person in Leverett House, where I lived, and even Jeremy Lin, who also lived there, was like, whoa, aren't you the Jeopardy guy? So this was, of course, before he was Jeremy Lin. Being on Jeopardy is one of the most interesting things that's ever happened to me, and it's what made my already colorful personality a little bit more colorful, which is why I put it on my resume, because I like talking about it in interviews. I lost, but the way I look at it is that I won $5,000, free trip to LA, which in my book is winning. Thank you.